I can't believe that we are back. Some part of me literally cannot believe it because, wow, what a terrible time my life has been. Welcome, one. I can't even do this intro without laughing because it's been so many months. We have downgraded the quality because I just can't deal with it. I tried recording 2 podcast episodes a while ago. The first one, the audio cut out halfway. And even though I charged my microphones, I just don't trust it. So just using the computer audio. I also have my iPad going with the voice memo in case the camera cuts off, because the second time I tried to record it, the video file was corrupted and it was unsavable. I tried to look up how to do it, literally could not save it. So those 2 are lost media. So I'm determined, even if everything cuts off, I have my iPad with the audio and it will be an audio only episode, like the early days of the Trixie and Katya podcast. Shout out to those friends of the pod. No, they are not. I hope someday they will be. I will keep looking at my computer to the side because I just want to make sure this actually happens. There is so much for me to go over, so many stories to tell. I feel like it is so insane what has happened since the days that I got fired. I literally haven't even checked the last time I made a podcast episode. I will be changing the thumbnail a little bit, so I feel like that one other thumbnail I had that was like newer on the 8th episode, and that's going to be its own little format because I'm okay with that because it reflects that very specific time in my life with what I had going on. As you can see, there's a different background. The tapestry that I used to have is actually just right over there, but right now we got the wonderful Anne Hathaway with the glare on her, and also my Wizard of Oz and some vines. I am in a completely new space, and that is because I fully moved across the country. 28 hours of driving, my right leg hurt so much. Shout out to the plantar fasciitis I have on my right foot that I think is purely just from driving and having to push on the pedal. During my social work job, I literally had to get like a seat cushion and a back cushion, which I'm glad I did because it's comfortable and it makes sitting in the car more comfortable. But it was like so bad and so much driving. I haven't even gotten there yet. There's so much to talk about. I drove 28 hours across the country over 4 days, only paid $230 for 3 different hotels, which I thought was very good. Had to pay a $150 deposit for one of them in case of smoke damage, which I don't fucking smoke. And then the deposit was returned to me and then it wasn't, so I had to call my bank. It was a whole thing. But oh my god, oh my god, we are so back. I feel motivated. I've been kind of depressed recently. I'll go into the astrology of all that because I did get a tarot reading from my new friend Abby. And I will be getting into that, and I'll just be getting into everything. So first, let's just start off chronologically. I have moved out to the west where it's sunny almost 24/7 as opposed to where I was before, where it was so doom and gloom cloudy almost all the time. I would pull out my weather app and I would see it be cloudy 5 days in a row, and I would think my life is literally not worth living because it's so cloudy. I just can't even take this. But here it's sunny all the time. It is hotter, but that's okay. We got that air conditioning. I got a fan in my room, so everything's good with that. I moved in with my mom and my brother. We all got a place together. It's a house. My first time living in a house since I was 6 after my parents divorced, and I'm really liking it. I am already having so much more luck socially than I had in where I was for like the kind of 6 months to a year I was trying to put myself out there. But we'll get to that. First, I want to talk about social work because oh my god, what an awful, awful, awful job that was. I have to remember to speak more slowly and let myself breathe because usually when I record these podcasts, I just talk so much, and I have to remember to breathe. Taylor's version, except we can listen to the OGs now, which I prefer the Taylor's version for all the albums. I hope she does stuff with Rep and the Vault tracks and OG. She revealed she recorded all of Debut, so we'll see what happens with that. I'd Lie better be on there. Dark Blue Dynasty better be on there. I better get the demo tracks for Bye Bye Baby, aka One Thing, and the other Vault tracks. We better go get Let's Go Battle and Drama Queen. I'm hoping she does something where she does like the More Taylor's version chapter where she puts out like all the extra stuff, but we shall see. So after I got fired and I was looking for work, I did land a job. It was the only place that would hire me, and it was a social work job for a nonprofit, which is already really, really bad because when you work for the state, you get better benefits and better pay, but when you work for a nonprofit, it's worse pay and worse benefits. I'm talking about $75 premium for the PPO off each paycheck with the $6,000 deductible. I should have been more grateful for the first job I had out of college, even though there were some bitches there, as I talked about. I think it was episode 4, the corporate ladder has no rungs. But that was like $64 a paycheck with a $3,000 deductible, and there was a free clinic I could go to get a lot of preventative services and other stuff done. So I should have been a lot more grateful for that when I had that versus a $6,000 deductible, which was higher than my aunt who works in corporate. The whole thing with the nonprofit is it's supposed to be better benefits in exchange for worse pay, but not here, not with this job, bitch. Oh my God, I hated that job. So going into it, I already knew I was going to be moving because I visited my mom over here for Thanksgiving, and then my brother said he was going to move here, and he did. He moved here a few months earlier than me. And I was like, yes, I'm moving here. It was just a matter of when, because my mom had her lease expire in May, and we ended up getting a place in April. So I've been here for about a month and a half. I'm already adjusting and, getting into it, but I knew I needed to make money. I knew I needed to do something. This was $44K a year with a $750 sign-on bonus, except they did not tell me that bonus is paid in 2 installments, half on your first check and half after 90 days. I was not even there for 90 business days. I was like 5 days off, and I did not care because my sanity was worth a lot more than $300 after taxes. Also, fuck them for not telling me that. If you're gonna have some sort of ploy with your sign-on bonus, you need to tell me up front. Why? It wasn't in any of the paperwork I signed or anything. They are such jackasses for doing that. I hate that so much. But it was a social work job, and I thought it was going to be easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl because the handbook said the first 3 months are just training, and I was like, perfect. I'm only going to be here for 3 months, but then boom, after a month, I get my first family. This very much was one of the things where they just throw you in, and it was really frustrating because even though you have to learn it by doing it, I still feel like I should have gotten more training and more help with it. And we had this one meeting that again showed me that, like I said in my short film, You Wasted Me, a poetic short film, make sure to check that out. We're all swimming through the muck. We're all going through it. None of us are in a great place, and it kind of all sucks for all of us. During onboarding, they showed the corporate structure, that like flowchart map, and my position was at the very, very bottom. There were other people that shared my position with the position we had, but that was still so upsetting to see. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, I need to make this podcast. I need to get back into social media posting because I need to be my own boss. It is very rare. You see Emma Chamberlain, Brittany Broski, Drew Afualo, you see Jenna Marbles, you see people who have done it over the years, but they are a very select group who were able to make that happen. But I want to make it happen because I feel like working for someone else sucks so much, especially like why whore yourself out for corporate America when you can whore yourself out for brands to get sponsorships and you get paid so much more money. You get recognition, you get notoriety, you get influence, you get so much more freedom. It is just such a better deal than working for someone else. And if you can make sure you're making the right money moves, it can be stable and you can make savings instead of being a dumbass like these other young influencers, mainly thinking about Jake and Logan Paul, those douchebags, even though they are doing successful, even though they fucking shouldn't be. But you can make it right, and I'm very money-minded. I'm very much a penny pincher. I feel like if the opportunities were given to me, then I could do it. So I'm going to get back into it, and that was one of the things from the tarot readings that I needed to actually work for it. So here we are. I don't know if this is going to be weekly or bi-weekly. I theoretically should have more stories since my social life is already so much better than it was back where I was. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I get into. We'll see what my feelings are. You never know when it comes to me, although I am glad I'm really getting back into this. And here's a season 2. I didn't even mention that, but we are officially on season 2. I feel like no better way to start a new season than literally being in a new state that I pine after to get to, with more opportunities, more people, more queer people, more everything, just bigger, better. Everything is much more amazing. I still have to work to make it good for me and make sure I find my place that I fit into. But oh my God, it's already working out so much better. I have palm trees outside my window. My view when I'm laying down is palm trees. Like, that is so amazing on its own. And to be in a house and to have my car in a garage so I don't have to worry about the heat all the time with the car, it just is better. And here's the season 2. You know, the first season was an 8-episode run. I kind of liken that to Parks and Rec or these other shows where their first season is a bit shorter. They're figuring out what they want to do with it. But here's the season 2. Maybe it'll be longer. Maybe it won't be. Who knows? But I am excited. I'm getting on a new medication. I need to get on a folic acid supplement because I have significantly low folic acid conversion. Something for my DNA test that I just skipped over, but I have a new psychiatrist. Medicaid's paying for all of that. I'm going to fill out some paperwork to get a therapist for free from Medicaid. They can fit me in tomorrow, so that's really great. And not even in the morning at 6 o'clock. I do have to skip an online thing I had joined. I like to go on the Eventbrite app and see what things are going on each week, but that's okay. Doing intake for therapy is much more worth it than doing this like moon thing, especially on Zoom, no less. I'd rather do something in person. But yes. So with the social work job, back to that, I love these parallel stories and how I just go in conjunction and out of conjunction. I love that about me, but I always tie it back in the end. I always do. So with this social work job, my first family was a shit show. You have to make contact within 24 hours by call. If you can't, then you have to make a home visit within 24 hours. Those deadlines were so unforgiving. I feel right now such despair building in my body that I even have to recount any of this stuff. You can check out my Instagram at RhinoFro for some of those stories that I'm making reels for. I think they're very interesting, and I like that I'm able to talk about those things and tell the stories that I experienced because they're very wild. I mean, bugs in people's houses. I mean, I can go into environmental stuff. I mean, and I really don't like bugs. But really, the biggest thing was parents who don't love their children. I mean, when it comes to families, you can be down on your luck. You can have little money, little resources, little education. But I feel like one of the best things and one of the things you can't buy that is harder to teach, harder to get resources for, is love. Actually appreciating and enjoying spending time with your children and loving them. And that was something that was so lacking that I was seeing. And that really hurt my soul and really hurt my spirit. Because, you know, some people choose to have kids, some people it's forced upon them, some people it happens, they don't use protection, maybe they're a little loose with it and it just happens. But I'm always, when I was in that position, I was looking for that love and looking to see if that love was there. Because if it wasn't, I knew I was going to have a harder job. So my role specifically was providing education, resources, lessons, things like that, monitoring the kids, seeing what the home was like. And my first client, I had to make the home visit. And so I drove over there. It was in the same town I was in, so it was like a 10-15 minute drive. So that was nice. Put a pin in that. And I go over there, they answer the door. They had been up really late the night before. It was like 10 a.m. And remember, 24-hour deadline. I have to meet this deadline. And apparently I'd been calling the number for the guy, but I should have been calling the woman instead. So she gave me her number. And long story short, I was in there for like 5 minutes. She was very smiley. She was like, would you want coffee? Do you want anything? And I was like, no, thank you. Thank you so much. I just, let's schedule the intake. I pull out my phone. I pull out my calendar. Like, when are you available? And we pick a time. And then half an hour later, I'm at Walmart getting groceries because fuck corporate America. I'm going to get groceries when I want to. And I like getting them in the morning when Walmart is a lot less busy. So half an hour later, I get a call from her on my work phone. Because of course I brought my work phone because I have to maintain the illusion that I'm working. That job did really fucking stress me out. I never quite worked for 40 hours a week, but it stressed me out so much. Like, I don't think employers understand that there is a mental amount of time that we employ when we are working, and that can mark up to more than the actual physical time we spend working, especially when they keep touting self-care, self-care, self-care. But are we supposed to do that on the clock? Do you want us to do that on our own time? Because if we're experiencing bad effects because of our work, we should be able to do self-care on the clock. Clock that tea. Clock that fucking tea. But no, employers don't care about us. They don't give a shit about us. So whatever. So she asked me, when did I make those 3 calls? I say it was this time, this time, this time. And then she asks for my supervisor's name and number. I give it to her. We hang up. I get home. I'm unloading the groceries. I get a call from my supervisor, and she's like, how do you think that went? And my supervisor was always very nice, except for a couple key things that I'll talk about. And I was like, well, I guess not. It did not go well because you're calling me. So apparently this client, she had a problem with the fact that she was going to put her dog away, but I was already walking into the house because the room she was going to put the dog in was right next to the entrance. So it was only going to take a few seconds. The dog was not being aggressive. I love dogs. I've always been raised with dogs, so I'm not afraid of dogs. So I was like, I'll just go in. And, you know, one of my coworkers brought up, like, she kept it real. I felt bad for her. She was like 61, 62. She has a bad back, not as much energy. I mean, I'm turning 24 this week, Friday the 13th, hell yeah, but I still don't have a lot of energy, so I felt especially bad for her. She actually had to take a couple weeks off due to medical issues. I covered some stuff for her. Other people covered some meetings for her because, God forbid, an employee has medical issues that they need to take care of. You still need to make those meetings. You still need to make those hours with the family. If you have PTO, make those meetings. If you have a 2-day long training, pack those meetings in the rest of the days of the week. Otherwise, you have to make up. You have to make up those hours. You have to do those contract other hours. Otherwise, DCBS is going to be up your ass. It's like, what the hell? We are people. Things will come up. It just really pisses me off when the structure of things are built in a way where it doesn't align with the fact that we are humans working, and there are going to be things that come up and we can't make up the hours. I couldn't meet. So then I got reassigned to a family that was 45 minutes away from me, 50 minutes back. I don't know why Google Maps always said it takes longer to drive back. That drive killed me. It really just... I shouldn't be so hyperbolic, but that's why I got the car seat, because I was like, my back is damaged, my shoulders hurt, my butt hurts, everything hurts because of this drive. And if I'm meeting with them for 3 hours a week and I'm driving and meeting with them twice a week, like, that has so much time. I remember my boss telling me, like, well, if you only meet with your families for 3 hours a week, you could have up to 8 families because that's 24 hours. And I wanted to say to her, absolutely go fuck yourself. You are not doing the math right. I don't know who told you that, but that's not fucking true. If I'm meeting with them twice a week, that adds on to driving time. That adds on to preparing for the lessons I'm going to make or the things I'm going to teach and printing out those materials. How about the aftercares where I had to drive 2 hours round trip just for the family to no longer live there, walk up to an empty trailer under construction, ask the construction guy, does anyone live here? And he's like, no. And I'm like, thank you so much. Have a good day. What's up with that? That amounts to more than 40 hours. So no, I'm not going to have 8 families. That doesn't make any sense. Your math is incorrect. Reminds me of one time a gym teacher said to me, I told him running makes me throw up, and I was being sincere, like I need to take breaks, and he said, you know what, when I was your age, math made me throw up. And I wanted to say to him, sorry that you're fucking stupid, sorry that you're dumb. Like, I can't take it with the nonsensical shit. I'm such a rational, common sense person that I'm like, what are you talking about? This is just not true. So I had then another family and another family. One guy, he really loved his daughter, who was like 1 year old. So they were going to reunite. He was already having more visitation with her. His partner, who is the mother, she got out of sober living. So they seem to be doing really well. And I really did wish them the best. There was one family that was the most detrimental, and that was my last meeting. I ended on a Friday. This family, it's like hard to find the words because it's so crazy. So grandparents raising the grandchild is like 16, completely failing in school. The state I lived in is a no child left behind state, which I guess all of America is, but especially that state, which I thought when I was younger, oh, that's good. Because as I got older, I was like, oh, that's bad, because you need to hold kids back if they're not learning. Like, come on, no wonder so many people go to private school where I was, because then you're able to hold kids back instead of the public school, which just pushes them through. I remember seeing things a few months ago about like a couple students who were suing their school because they graduated high school and they can't read. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I thought that family wasn't going to have many issues. And then, long story short, Confederate flag in the grandson's room. The grandfather just randomly started talking to me about the Confederacy and the Union when I told him I was from Illinois. So then the black clinician did not want to come to do functional family therapy, which that's completely valid. And I told her about that. My boss told me to tell her, which was obviously the right move, because that's fucking terrible. Have a like a tapestry-sized Confederate flag in your room. But she no-showed on them. She no-showed on the family, who was already starting to think that by them joining the services, which they elected to do to get more support for their family, then things were getting worse. That things got worse when I started working with them. So that was already like not doing well for them to no-show, for no one to show up on that Saturday. And then the grandson ended up throwing his grandmother to the floor, knocking the lenses out of her glasses. She called me so distraught, and the police were coming over. She actually had to call the police an earlier time because the grandson was like getting so escalated. And so the last meeting I had with her and the worker who was going to start taking on that family since I was leaving, we called the court. She was going to go to court that Monday at 8 a.m. So bright and early to testify and press charges against your grandson for assaulting you. Like, that's the kind of stuff I was dealing with, and it was so like shocking. And I am glad to have left that behind. I'm not going to have any shame with that. That was the only job that would hire me. I needed the money. The work I did do, I did it well. But oh my God, I mean, it was insane. I mean, working with families like that is just, it's just like, why was I making $44K? Why was I not making more? Why were the benefits not better? Why was it so bad? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, when you have an office job, you just sit around, you answer emails, you answer calls, you make deliverables, make spreadsheets. But this was like having someone call you on the phone, like basically crying, saying like, my grandson assaulted me. And it's just so insane. It really just was so insane, and really showed me about the privilege I had growing up. With honestly just with great schools, and schools that gave us iPads and Chromebooks, and not like the 100% most healthy home life ever, but still better than that, where we weren't like punching each other. Like, it was mind-blowing. It was really mind-blowing. There was one woman, she was just lazy and like not doing the things she needed to do. Some families seemed, this one pissed me off. A mother who had to get involved with social services, which we do have. They're called flex funds, where it's $1,000 to spend on kind of whatever you want. And, things can add up, even household things like laundry detergent, dishwasher. You can buy stuff at Walmart, you can get groceries. So there's a lot of stuff you can get with that $1,000. You can pay rent, you can pay your mortgage. So that's really great. But this mom, she was involved, and the state got involved because she accidentally pushed her daughter to the ground because she tripped. And that was on video. They were doing something with cheer. And so there's video evidence that it was a complete accident. And then later on a different day, she took her daughter by the bleachers and like scolded her, which, if scolding your child means the state is going to get involved, then better call up every single parent and throw them into the court system. Like, what are you talking about? So my coworker, when we were in the staffing meeting to talk about our cases, she was like, yeah, like, she already knows all these parenting skills. Like, I don't really know what to do. It's a complete accident that she's even in services. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it's things like that that make me so pissed and are just a complete waste of resources and money. I'm not a libertarian. I would prefer the state and government, federal government, to put even more into healthcare and education and things like this. But with some of the inefficiencies you come across, I'm just like, oh my God, this could be so much better. And it's just not. So I left that. I gave my notice. There was one time where I was maybe going to get home by like 8 p.m. because I may have needed to schedule an intake like right after my evening meeting with one of the families, because when you have families who have kids and parents who work, you have to meet in the evening to be able to meet with all of them. Like, so if you keep stacking on the families who meet those qualities, then like you're gonna be working till like 10, 11, especially with all the paperwork you have to do. Oh my god, the paperwork and the forms, those really sucked because I hate tedious things, and some of those things you had to fill out, some of those screeners and quizzes, I was just like, what's even the point of this? It's so, never saw anything get done with those, and so I just did not enjoy those either. Some of the smaller things that were just extra annoying just really like put the salt in the wound of these different things. It was really frustrating. So I'm like, and my boss is like, and I'm saying to her like, oh, I don't really prefer that. I would say I would do the intake as fast as humanly possible. Sometimes I'm very hyperbolic, as we know from this podcast, and I say that and people take me sincerely, and that's really a mistake on my part for saying the hyperbolic thing. I'm a very dramatic person. I'm not exactly trying to filter myself. And so she was like, well, this is what you signed up for, to like, be working late. You knew that coming into the job. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, no one, you shouldn't have to work these late hours. You shouldn't have to. With this bullshit pay, these bullshit benefits, you shouldn't have to work that late. It's just, you shouldn't have to. It's unreasonable. It really is. So, I mean, one of the coworkers, she was saying during the state of the team meeting, like, supervisors need to listen more. We need more support. The driving takes a really big toll on you. And yeah, when you're driving 45, 50 minutes each way to your client, that does really take a toll on you. Even if it counts as working time, it doesn't count as the mental time of how that really drains you, all that driving. And wear and tear on your car, you're not getting paid for that. You get mileage, and I would make profit off the mileage because I guess my car is very fuel efficient based off their mileage like charts. But it still doesn't count for wear and tear on the car, and they do not pay you enough to buy like a good new car or even like a good new used car. So, and she was saying there's some days all she can do when she gets home is just go into bed. And that made me really sad. That made me very, very sad. When I was covering one of the families for her, I just met with them once a week because I was like, I'm not doing all this. I'm about to leave the company. Like, I don't care. And that wasn't on her. That was just for me, like, not caring and being resentful of the fact that, like, you have someone in the hospital with medical needs and you're like, oh, but we gotta cover the families. Like, no, that is not your priority. Your priority should be your employee. People shouldn't be grasping at straws to try to get these meetings covered. So the guy, he was nice, but although he did need to work on the difference between giving up and moving on, he did not know what that difference was, and he did a lot of giving up. And he was kind of teaching his kids that, so I had to try to like ask him those open-ended questions to try to like get into his head, like maybe you need to like stand up for yourself more, and you should also instill that in your kids. He was saying that she excused herself to go outside, and he heard her throw up, and she came back in and said like, I need to leave. And by the time I left, she was fine, she was recovered, she was back to working, but I just felt really bad for her, and I really hope that she gets to retire sometime very, very soon, because her health just can't take it. There was one family, it was hers, I was shadowing when I was still in the beginning stages, and the mom like passed off to drug dealers, prostituted to drug dealers by her mom when she was like 7 years old. She's an adult woman now in her early 20s, but does not have more than like a sixth grade education. She acts like it too. Has a daughter who's 4 who is definitely autistic, and we were trying to get like an ABA assessment for her and trying to make those calls, but a lot of places were filled up, and that was really sad to see. Like, because that mother really did love her kids, and was interacting with her baby really, really well. But that environment was just so overstimulating, and it was just sad to see that this person with this history, who is probably going to be on state benefits for her whole life, which, good. If life screws you over and your mom prostitutes you to drug dealers when you're a child, the state should help you out. The government should help you. It shouldn't be on you to try to completely self-sustain when you have this awful childhood and you don't have the skills and education you need to survive in this world. But I mean, she probably wasn't going to get enough, and she was most likely going to get evicted from her apartment. And we were talking about in the staffing meeting about how to help her and the different resources to get her in a different place. Before they were in that apartment, they were in sheltered living in like a homeless shelter. And yeah, it was really unfortunate. And that family did make me really like feel sorry for them. And if that comes off like I'm putting myself on a pedestal, that's not what I mean. But I'm like, oh my God, this is someone who has been battered by life for all that she's been alive. And she is still able to be positive. And even some other guy was still really able to be positive, you know, living in a worse apartment than me, having less income than me, having these other physical issues that I don't have, having really bad teeth and Medicaid won't cover it. And if they do, you have to get all your teeth pulled out and put new ones in. Like, and I think even then he said Medicaid won't cover it. And it's just, and even he was happier than I am. That was kind of a reflection on me about like, I need to be happier, even with my significantly low folic acid conversion, which reduces the effectiveness of my antidepressant. I'm like, these are people who are worse off than me, who have a better attitude on life than me, and I could learn something from them. And again, I don't want to put myself in a pedestal. I'm just trying to talk about the relationships and what I learned from that whole experience. But there were some bright spots, a lot of tragic spots, and just overall, I'm glad to be out because that is not the field for me. I'm trying to get into online marketing. It's hard because I don't have the experience. I'm trying to boost up my LinkedIn, which I discovered is a fun new thing that I can get impressions for and views and clicks and likes. That's another thing that can feed the dopamine in my brain. So yeah, I'm into that. I'm doing the Instagram reels. I made one about Taylor Swift taking back her masters and buying it, and people like, oh, I'm gonna listen to the OGs now. And I'm like, don't devalue the Taylor's versions, they were so good, you're so unappreciative. That got over 6,000 views and 130 likes, and so on Instagram, and so I was really glad about that. I saw Katy Perry here, and that was really great. She's a little canceled, but it was still an amazing concert. She puts on one hell of a show. I put those on my YouTube if you want to check out some of those videos. And yeah, so that was really great. And I'm glad I now live somewhere where people come to tour and like throw concerts. So that's really great. I mean, things can be expensive. My grandma visited for Mother's Day. That was a whole thing, but she gave me and my brother money. So I was like, yes, buying Katy Perry now. I was going to wait for the tickets to go lower in price, but then I got that and I was like, whatever, I'm going to like buy it now. Paid $25 for parking. I hate paying for parking so much because I'm a suburbs kid through and through. So I'm like, parking should be free. You can park on someone's driveway and they don't even care where I'm from. So yeah, I did not really like that, but the concert was really well. And if you wonder who I went with myself because I'm the only person I know who shares my taste in music. No one else likes the pop girls that I know. My family is full of stoners who enjoy like Grateful Dead and all that stuff. So yeah, didn't really have anyone to go with, but that's okay. I love doing things on my own, even though I'm trying to be more social, but I was not going to not see Katy Perry just because I was going alone. Absolutely not. So, yes, I've been making friends. I went to a karaoke bar one night and met a few people, and then I met a man named Angel. He's 39, looks like he's 25. He is so young, but found out very fast he's gay, so I hearkened him over. He was already at our table, and some girls invited me because I sang a Taylor Swift song. I sang Is It Over Now, and during the bridge part where it's just instrumental, I did the Out of the Woods mashup. Hell yeah, I did. The first mashup on the Eras tour, which launched the mashups. What a moment in history. And so they invited me over to sit with them, and it was so ironic because I was prepared to make a video about like trying to make adult friends and how it would be hard. And then they invited me over and I was like, hell yeah, that's the power of Swifties. And so Angel was there, and so I did one of these. And I said, where's the gay stuff? And he told me about kickball, queer kickball. So I went to that, met some other friends, met a guy who might be able to find me a job. He is a director in a company like of his department. So he passed on my resume and cover letter to his area director. That was a few weeks ago, and I felt worried about texting him about like, hey, just want to check in on this because maybe they didn't see anything that would be a good match for them. But he actually said he was going to talk to her again. And, you know, they work in the school, so it's the end of the school year. Things are closing up. So that's really great. And then I met Abby, and I met this guy named Mike, and he's been taking me out. not in a romantic way. I worry he might be interested in that, but I did say like a romantic way, and he said no. So there's that. And he knows I'm into like the muscle type, which he's not, but he's in his 60s, and he is fun to learn about with all the life that he's lived. He was in the army. He is originally from Brooklyn. He's lived in Manhattan. So he has a lot of really great stories, and so I like hanging out with him. And then Abby, she's also really great because she seems to be really down to earth, and I got a tarot reading from her, and I'll go over some of those results now. Originally, I was like, oh, I won't be able to do that because I record on my phone and it's on my phone. Then I remembered that I can get Google Keep on my computer on my browser. So here we have that. So if you think I've been looking at my computer too much, get ready for this. So let's just transition into this. Well, first she read my astrological chart, and she did confirm that over the last couple years, I was looking into how I had my 12th house perfection year, so things were going to be bad. Things are going to turn back around. Now I'm turning 24 this Friday. But she did confirm that things were happening, and Saturn is still coming around. Shout out to Eternal Sunshine, Ariana Grande. I have my posters right there. That album was really helping me get through this past year because, oh my God, I'm not 28, but apparently I was feeling the Saturn and I didn't even know it. So I might be depressed for like 4 more months, but she also brought up how like getting a therapist would be good for like having a mirror to me to do some more self analysis, and I needed to do that anyway. So I just made those calls. I'm going to fill out the paperwork after this for the intake, like I mentioned, and I want to get back into my writing and my podcasting and all this so I can have more of a reflection on myself. And I think that's really going to be good. And she brought up how this past year mainly has been Saturn like takes the things that are breaking apart and pushes them down and destroys them. So it's kind of like, well, it's like the Saturn returns interlude. It's if you've been relying on your cleverness or sort of floating by, it's time for you to get real about who you really are. And these are the skills I'm going to need to like burst into my later adult years with the rest of my 20s. And when Saturn does make its return, I am going to really need these skills to get it through that for kind of another moment of change and reflection as I go through things that are necessary for me. They might be a little painful or difficult, but they're necessary for my life. So my job, my expectations of living in that state, my thinking I was going to live in that state for a really long time just shattered. And that's a really good thing because it brought me here. So I think I'm really coming up on the end of all that, and I'm really excited for what may lie in the future. I mean, I still feel haunted by all of those memories. I still kind of want to send a short film to that employer who fired me, and I asked her, is that a bad idea during the tarot reading? And she was like, yes, the cards are showing that is a bad idea. And because she's 45, she also has a lot of life experience, and she was like, me personally, that's also a bad idea. So won't do that. I keep telling people I want it to find its way to her. Really, it'd be cool if I got famous and then that's how she found out. I think that would be really cool, but I still feel haunted by that. I told my psychiatrist it's the ruminations I'm trying to really fight. Like I might feel anxiety at times, but usually I can push through things, but the ruminations just really get to me, especially at night when I'm trying to fall asleep. My brain just becomes active. That folic acid supplement should help with me like feeling more sleepy and drowsy at night, as people on Reddit said. I don't trust Reddit for 100%, but it was nice to see that because I have been taking melatonin for like the last 5 years, so it'd be nice to take something else that could also help with my antidepressant. So I've been listening to Taylor Swift's Haunted. I also have been listening to The Climb a lot, Miley Cyrus, iconic song. Just because like I'm meeting these people and I wonder, are these going to be lifelong friends? And I think of the very first column I wrote my freshman year of college. For the column I had, it's still available online if you want to search it up. It's the Kentucky Colonel, and the column was High Hopes and Realities of a College Freshman, or you can search my name, Ryder From, on the website, or I think Ryder Noah, because they forgot to put my full name the way I wanted it one time, and it still might be like that. But it's called Lifelong Friendships and the Climb It Takes to Get There. And, you know, I just need to go out. I just need to meet people. I just need to engage in activities that excite me. And that's really it. I shouldn't focus on, like, is this going to be a thing 20 years from now? Am I going to remember these moments forever? You know, that cliche thing. I just need to focus on being happy in the moment. So we did the tarot reading and I had many questions. So the first was, how do I feel more optimistic? And this is something I've struggled with my entire life, with feeling optimistic instead of feeling pessimistic. I know naturally as humans we kind of lean towards the negative because we're looking out for dangers, but me especially, I can get really down really fast and just expect things to not work out well, which even when they don't work out well, it's always in a way I never expect. So it's not like I can predict it. But the card said stuff that really did make a lot of sense. So I need to engage in my more creative hobbies like this. I need to hang out with people and do activities that are fun for me and that are social. I need to let go of things, which obviously I have. I like to say that I don't forgive and I sure as hell never forget. I am a grudge holder. She said grudge collector. I wouldn't say I go looking for them, but I mean, that's kind of just how I am. I don't forgive and I never forget. I remember things very specifically. I remember a lot. And if you screw me over, I'm a very indignant person. So I'm going to remember that. And it's really hard to let go, especially with me being fired. That's the main thing. When it was so unjust, it was such a terrible work environment. They have so many problems. They have so many community issues, such a wide range of things. And it's very hard to get over. I need to check my ego because it's taking me into a bad place. I think that I'm having trouble remembering what that meant, and I do mean that sincerely. That's not a joke because ego can mean different things. I think that meant like I just need to like let go more and be more free and outgoing and not be so in my head about things. Don't be afraid of change. I think that was the tower. I pulled the tower. Or she pulled the tower and death and another card, but two of the cards were the tower and death, which are kind of, the tower especially is seen as like a bad card. We never pulled the devil, good, because I know that's like a really bad card, whereas death and the tower can be more positive leaning. But I need to like break down my tower, or maybe the tower was in a different card. Or different question. I think it was this one, but I need that change. I need to not be afraid of it. Oh yeah, we pulled the death and tower. And if I don't change things, that tower can fall apart and like change in a way I don't want. So I just need to like, or just my whole life can come crashing down. So I need to make those changes. And I have the ability to be happy. So that was a really nice thing to hear. I think one of the cards was this like kind of this like drunken man, and so he is happy, he is intoxicated, or at least that was her interpretation that she was passing on for that card. But that was overall a good card in showing that like I can be happy, I just need to be in the right environment for it. Next was my love life, and I was having trouble coming up with a specific question for this, but overall the first one I asked was, am I cursed? Am I working with odds that are stacked against me in a cosmic way? Because already being gay and being picky and people already being coupled up and not being into hookups, the statistics go down and down and down about what's available to me and what I can like effectively get in a relationship and like the availability of men out there. But I wanted to know, like, is there truly something working against me? Because that's how it's really been feeling. I have been feeling very unlucky in love. And she said, I'm not cursed. I just need to get into relationships and start learning and kind of get like broken in, which I agree, but I also don't want to be in a relationship that's not worth my while and not something that I'm excited about. I want to be excited about it. I want to be interested in it, but I definitely need to be more outgoing and actually approach guys in public instead of being like a scaredy cat about it. And there might be relationships starting soon. So that's a good thing to hear. Next, I was like, you know what? Will I get my Zac Efron fantasy? Because it's not the lineup of guys I would hope for. It's not the muscle guys. It's not the guys I see in public. It's if they're older, they don't look like Chris Hemsworth. They don't look like John Krasinski. They don't look like those older guys, which to me, older is like 45 max. Really just 40. I'm not talking about guys in their 50s and 60s. And so I was not exactly looking at the lineup that I would love to see in my wildest dreams Taylor's version, you know? And if I've been waiting for this long, I want to get what I want, and I don't think I should feel any shame for that. So she said, I don't need to be so doom and gloom. I feel like that was those were her words specifically. I think it was so funny that she said doom and gloom because that is how I am. I'll find somebody I'll actually like. And so that's really interesting to see based off the previous question that I need to get into relationships and stuff might be starting soon and I will find someone that I'll actually like. So that's nice to see. finances for the next year. She told me don't make wealth everything, but I do worry about money a lot. That's just how I am. Both my parents went through some hard times. My mom just started a new job, so that's really great. But coming here, things were not exactly what we were all expecting financially. We are doing fine. We are going to be fine. But I just worry about that, and I have been out of work, and I've officially surpassed 70 job applications that I've applied to since January for getting a job here. And so the odds seem kind of against me. I've been taking a few webinars about like making a career shift. It's so funny, in the most recent one, I really wanted that LinkedIn review, that free one, and she did do it. She did select me because I was early enough to do that. I was ready for it because I knew it was coming. And her review was like a minute and a half, and it was just like, everything's fine. And I was like, wow, this thing I really wanted just was really quick and kind of meaningless if you think about it. I guess it's good she didn't say anything bad, but I was like, oh my God, I really wanted this thing, and it was not what I was expecting at all. It was so below mediocre, but I've been trying to like gear myself up and like trying to like take those things. Really, she says you have to use your close network, and even Abby said, like, Abby kind of rolled her eyes at that, but it is true because hiring recruiters are looking for a reference. Applying on Indeed, applying on LinkedIn doesn't really matter, and that kind of sucks because I have about half of the jobs I've applied to, I haven't even heard back. Some of them all the way back in January, and so that's really unfortunate. But if I commit to working for the money, I'll get it. I did not like hearing that because I don't like working for things. I'm a very lazy person, but I hope that, getting into this and getting into more of these creative things and making sure I really put the time for that, even if they're small things, just like uploading a reel to Instagram and then YouTube, even that, or like making a podcast episode bi-weekly, I feel like that is still a good commitment. That's me working for something. And so I like the prospects of that. I'll find resources if I work for it and don't get too obsessed. So overall, things are looking good. Mostly these cards were very good. These cards were also confirming, and the astrology reading that the tarot card said, like, I was making my way out of hell and things are gonna come back around. And so I really like that. I like that all these were positive. And then she brought up this one thing. I think what led to this was I was trying to, maybe we were talking about karma or something, but she mentioned, like, what do I deserve? And she mentioned that kind of passingly, and then I kind of grabbed onto that, and I was like, what do I deserve? Like, what do I deserve within the next year? Like, do I deserve good things? Do I deserve bad things? And, I think one of the things she said about me when we got into the astrology after the reading, we kind of did it before and after, she brought out one of her books. It was like, I'm the type of personality based off one of it was like Taurus and Venus or something more specific in my chart. But it was like, I kind of look for answers in other people. And that is kind of true. I like to think that I have all the answers within me. I mean, this tarot reading was completely free. If I encountered someone charging $200 for it, I then say to myself, like, I don't need that. Like, I know who I am. I know what's going on in my life. But I kind of hope that someone's going to have more wisdom than me to kind of like validate that I am going on a good path, or like give me hope that things are going to go well down the road, which I know that's not how tarot works. It's really just a tool for reflection, seeing some of the things you might need to do and seeing what your reaction to the cards are. Same with the astrology, things might match, things might not. It might bring to attention things you haven't looked at before, but is something that makes sense. So I did ask that, and she says, I need to stop finding monsters in the dark. So this was a very interesting poll, because we got this like queenly figure, and then we got the moon, and then we got, I thought it was the sun at first, but it was the moon, and then we got the card. It looked like strings of hay. It was like 7 strings of hay, like a clothesline, but like a rope, like 7 strings of rope. I don't remember which one that was. I think it might have been a swords card. But she says, I need to stop finding the monsters in the dark. I need to create my own worth and remember I have my own light within myself. And the short film with sending that out to the former boss is unlikely to help in the long term. So, really, I need to stop looking for the bad things and really look for the positive things. And I think that all makes a lot of sense. And she said she found some other stuff in my chart that she wanted to go over. She works unlike me, so we'll probably have to hit each other up this weekend. Friday is my birthday, and then I might do something with my family on Saturday, so maybe Sunday. She mentioned going to a coffee shop, so I would definitely be into that. And I can definitely give an update on what's more stuff going on in my chart. I'm a Gemini with the Pisces moon. I have a lot of Gemini in my chart, and she says I have some opposing things. Oh, she also said I think she said Chiron is opposing Chiron, or Chiron is squaring Chiron. There was something else that was squaring something else right now. I really don't know the specifics, but she said it's a good time to heal my sexual wounds and kind of jumpstart my sexual life. I wouldn't say I have sexual wounds, but mainly just like I guess the wound is thinking like I'm unfuckable, and the kind of guy I'm into won't be into me back, and maybe needing to get over that. I haven't really found any action on the kink app, so maybe things are gonna turn around. But she did say that she does think that things are going to turn around starting on my 24th birthday. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to starting therapy and starting this new medication, getting the folic acid converter or the conversion supplement. And I'm kind of just excited for a lot of different things. I am still dealing with some stuff. My previous department is trying to scam me out of my security deposit, so I sent a very strongly worded letter to them using AI DeepSeek because it's better for the environment. And when it comes to the Chinese government versus American government having my data, I really don't care who has it. God forbid China knows about my resume bullet points and about laws about security deposits. Like, I don't really think that matters. But yeah, I mean, like they said in High School Musical, this could be the start of something new, and I think this could be the start of something really great.